Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Shehzad Dhedhi, your host for the day. So, today, CFO Club has organized yet another webinar on health and fitness. I believe this is third in the series of health and fitness. And today, our guest will be Mr. Gary Leeman, who is an international certified master trainer, and he's also managing the National Fitness Program by TriFit Limited, Pakistan. Welcome on board, Gary. And our another guest is Dr. Iram Irshad, who is who is running a Center for Positive Psychology. She's founder and president. Welcome, Dr. Iram Irshad. And our another panelist is Dr. Navid Assanikum, who is also an internationally qualified physician. Managed and nowadays इनका जो लोड है बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है क्योंकि he is managing COVID patients. He is with National Medical Center. And our speaker for today is very well known. आप अगर CFO Club के webinar attend करते हैं तो आप अच्छी तरह से वाकिफ हैं डॉक्टर रिजवान खान से. Generally as an accountant इन्होंने start किया था, but now he is on his entrepreneurship journey. And health and fitness पे आज की जो main presentation होगी, that would be by Dr. Rizwan Khan. So I welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So over to you, Dr. Rizwan, for your presentation, and let's move forward from there.
जी बहुत शुक्रिया शहजाद. आपने जो एक कमेंट दिया कि इन्होंने अपनी जर्नी स्टार्ट की थी अकाउंटिंग से, तो अकाउंटिंग एंड फाइनेंस से जर्नी शुरू की लेकिन रास्ते से भटक गए फिर, और देन मूव टू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. सो विद दैट लाइट नोट, सो आई थिंक आज का टॉपिक इस लिहाज से बहुत अच्छा है कि हम में से कई लोगों ने न्यू ईयर रेजोल्यूशन, सम ऑफ अस वी हैड made some New Year's resolution that we will get fit this year. As usual, just like in the previous years, and then just the numbers are changing, and perhaps our resolve to that may not be changing that fast. I did the same resolution back in 2018, and I did work on that quite well. And one of the things that I have done is cutting on carbs significantly, especially sugar. So that is something that I would like to stress, that I think even if you just cut few things, you can actually feel much better without doing much physical activity. And I'm talking about physical activity in the sense that you don't have to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can still manage to be in shape with other things. So without boring all of our participants, I would just come to the presentation. It's a quick one, and I tried to put 3-4 topics in one place so that we can actually see what we are going to discuss. So today our presentation is about 360 degree of executive health and wellness. So the first part, which is the psychological well-being, where the mind matters. And it is really important because when we talk about the health and fitness and well-being, we usually or sometimes we ignore the impact psychological aspect. Okay, this is an interesting slide in the sense that it explains the concept of ikigai. And this basically explains, if you look at this, there are 4 big circles. So on the top, you can see that something that you love. So what you love. And then on the right-hand side, you can see in pink color is what the world needs. And then at the bottom, you could see what you are getting paid for. And on the left-hand side, in green circle, you can see what you are good at. So what you are good at and what you are being paid for, it becomes your profession. If you are good at something and you love to do something, it becomes your passion. If you love something and world needs that, it becomes a mission. And if the world needs it and you are getting paid for that, then it's a vocation. And if you are in the other, you can see the other small triangles. So those are the areas, for example, something that you love, something that you're good at, and something that the world needs. So it's the delight and fullness, but no wealth because nobody's paying for you, etc. So right in the middle, when there is a merger of all these four circles, that what you are, what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you are getting paid for, that is called ikigai. That means what is the purpose of your life. So the reason why I'm explaining this to you, because sometimes when you do not find the purpose in your life, you feel like you are empty, and that emptiness will bring to boredom. And when you are bored, you start doing things that you should not be doing. So some people, they start indulging in activities that they should not be. Some people, they go for stress eating, etc. So all these are the impact of, because you cannot find the ikigai in your life. And it's not that easy. It sometimes it takes 20, 30, or maybe 50 years to find that sweet spot right in the middle of four things. Then this is PERMA V. So this is basically positive emotions, engagement, relationship, meaning, achievement, and vitality. So we are talking about that, that how these the brain is working. So I'm not going in to discuss more in detail. I would leave it to Dr. Iram to explain if she wishes to. Uh, so this is on the psychological side. The next one that I am very interested in is the diet and the well-being, and that is mind your intake, that what you are eating. So if you look at that, generally 80% of your weight loss or your well-being, if you like, I mean, if you are obese, so 80% is diet. The role of diet is roughly about 80% in the weight loss, and 20% is to exercise. Some people call it 70% and 30%, but that's, we are talking about from the weight loss point of view. So that is really important, that what you are eating, you have to control that. And as you age, when you are in teenage or when you are in 20s, things are different. After 30s, your body starts deteriorating. The metabolic starts changing. After 40, things change drastically, and then it goes down the hill from there. So it is really important to control your diet, and then of course you should go for the exercise, because there are benefits for that. But from the purely weight loss point of view, diet is the most important thing that you should consider. This is a typical chart that we Pakistani love to have our meal in one day. We have a fixation towards the carbohydrates, whether it is in the form of roti, naan, or in paratha, or in rice, or in other things. And one thing that I found very interesting is that people love to have Coke and Pepsi and all these things, and which is really dangerous because of the sugar content in there. So you can see that generally, if you are eating something like this and you say that, oh, I'm not eating too much, I'm eating only one naan or I'm eating only one paratha, it does not go very well with the body that you may have, unless you are very fat, unless you are living in a cold region. You need a diet like this. Otherwise, you basically put on a lot of weight with this simple sample chart of the what we are eating. So there are certain things that you should avoid at all cost, and those in general, I call them white poison, and those are white bread, white flour, white rice, white sugar, salt. So generally, these things you should avoid at all cost. And if you like to drink juice, you should go for the fresh fruit juice. Any juice available in Pakistan is nothing but the chemical, whether it is Nestle or whatever. Do not touch them. That's just the sugar and the chemicals. And those are very dangerous for your health. Another factor that you can see that this is in a TED discussion, and I found it very interesting, that if you want to live longer, if you want to live a fulfilled life, you have to do these things. And you can see the first top three. If you look at the top three, how well integrated you are in society. That means that if you have good friends, how close relationships you have. And the close relationship here does not mean your wife or husband or your mother or father. Here, close relationship refers to that if you need, for example, if you need support, who is the person who is available to you for the support? That is the second most important factor for the longevity in life. and quit smoking is the third one. So we can see that the exercise comes very, I think, number 6 or number 7, and the medicines go below that. So medicine is just the last resort, if you don't have anything else. So that is the thing that you should consider. The third one, which perhaps the favorite topic for Gary, is the physical activity, importance of moving. And this is really important because somehow we have this misconception that if you want to lose weight, we have to do the exercise. However, there, I think that would be only 10 or 20% of the benefit of the exercise. The real benefit of the exercise lies in that it helps to maintain your body, your brain, your heart, your liver, your cholesterol level, your blood pressure, and a whole lot of things, and especially motor movement as well. As you grow old, you will start having problem in moving. If you don't exercise, this will become worse. If we look at the physical activity for adults and older adults, so there are certain health benefits, and that those are on the right hand side, on the left hand side, and on the right hand side you can see that if you do the regular exercise, you can reduce the risk of diabetes, for example, by 40%. And the last is the cancer, which is 20% less risk as compared to those who do not exercise. uh, so what you should do, you need to be active at least 150 minutes per week, or at least 75 minutes of vigorous exercise. So if you want to do light exercise, you need to do about 2.5 hours every week. If you want to do very rigorous exercise, then you go for about an hour and 15 minutes. So this is really important for us to realize. We need to stop sitting at one place. If your job requires you to sit at one place, you should stand up and keep walking. And one important thing in this is that do any activity. Do not look down on your activity. Even walking, a simple exercise could be, for example, do not use the lift, try to use the stairs. So that could also be very good for you. And the last one, which is very important as well, is monitoring the vitals. So you cannot control something if you do not measure it. So that is really important. So these are some of your numbers. For example, blood sugar should be less than 100. Your blood pressure should be 120 by 80. Your blood cholesterol level should be around 200. Your body weight, your BMI, body mass index, should be between 18 to 25. 26 is kind of okay, but I mean, try to reduce the weight and then you can go into that one. So this just gives you a perspective, and of course, Dr. Navid will give you more details on that. One of the things that we could do is to use a smartwatch, and it helps you to get a lot of things done. At the end of this webinar, this presentation will be shared by our participants, so don't worry too much about this. So you can see that the smartwatch or the band, it helps you to in biometric go for PPG and ECG and blood pressure and the oxygen saturation level. So all these things you can actually get it on your wrist. You don't have to go to doctor every day to get this, but you can actually start creating your own medical record, the series of that for every second in your life. So the things have become very easy right now. I think it's a bit of investment for people to go for a smartwatch, but I think it's worth going for that. So this brings us to the end of this presentation. Over to you, Shehzad.
Thank you, Dr. Rizwan. It was an amazing presentation. Actually, you have covered almost every aspect, but I would like to start from my own journey, या यूं कह लें कि जो हमारे अकाउंटेंट हैं उनकी हेल्थ के हवाले से देखिए I can talk publicly on my BMI. So my current BMI is 29. So I am almost 82 kg right now. इसमें बीच में जो है वो 85 भी हो गया था. स्टार्ट मैंने जब किया था जब मैं सिंगापुर से वापस आया था पाकिस्तान में बैक इन 2016, सो आई वाज अराउंड 70 kg. तो वहाँ तो मैंने 8-10 kg रिड्यूस किया था. वापस आने के बाद दोबारा से मैंने 12 kg अपना बढ़ा लिया. सो इस एज में और हमारे प्रोफेशन में जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है वो है फिजिकल फिटनेस का. mentally or emotionally we are fit, but we find ourselves के physically fitness हम नहीं होती. I think ये हो सकता है कि अगर हम इसको मैनेज ना करें तो over next 5 to 10 years यही physical fitness जो है वो और मजीद प्रॉब्लम जिसमें इमोशनल हेल्थ के या मेंटल हेल्थ के भी इश्यूज हों. सो आई वुड लाइक टू अंडरस्टैंड कि मैं जो सोच रहा हूँ कि फिजिकल फिटनेस जो है कैन अफेक्ट माय अदर फिटनेस लेवल्स. इज इट ट्रू? और दूसरा मेरा सवाल ये है कि वो जो होता है ना कि जो हेल्दी माइंड इज इन द हेल्दी बॉडी, सेहतमंद जिस्म में ही सेहतमंद दिमाग होता है. हाउ ट्रू इज दैट? और जब हम सेहतमंद नहीं होते तो क्या वो हमारी जो मेंटल फिटनेस है वो कैसे अफेक्ट होती है? इस पे आई वुड लाइक टू हैव सम व्यूज फ्रॉम ईच वन ऑफ यू, एंड देन उसके बाद हम स्पेसिफिक एरियाज पे जाते हैं. जी, आई वुड लाइक टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम डॉक्टर इरम इरशाद.
Okay, thank you very much, Shehzad, for having us here once again. And thank you, Dr. Rizwan, CFO Club. And I welcome all the viewers. I think last time it was a wonderful session, and I hope you learned something out of that. And Shehzad, as far as your question is concerned, that the way you started with your own personal experience, I would want to tap into your motivation, that why that motivation of reducing weight keeps fluctuating. Number one, the question is why. And my psychological and emotional understanding of human machinery says that we are interrelated. I mean, heart, body, mind, they are like an ecosystem. I mean, you have one ecosystem which is universal. There is one internal ecosystem which is feeding one each other. So let's say sometimes you need a strong mind to take care of your bodily issues, and sometimes you need to have a healthy body to deal with your negative mind or a toxic mind or mind which is always looking for the negativity. So it goes hand in hand. And the first part I want to emphasize, to put more emphasis on, that I mean, behaviors take a lot of effort to change, and behind that change requires your self identity. A lot of people attach their sense of self with their weight, with their image, and they remain overcautious about how do they eat, and how do they present themselves, and what are their daily rituals. So I would pick on Dr. Rizwan's presentation, where he says that 80% it's your diet, and you need to be very careful what is your regular intake. So if I pick on that area, I need to relate it with your understanding that how do you manage your sense of self in 24/7. I mean, are you reducing weight for some specific outcome, or you are, what is the belief around that reduction of weight? Usually we are not very profound enough on our new year resolutions or targets that we want to achieve, and that is why we get swayed after like 2 or 3 weeks of rigorous training, or maybe sometimes we get instant rush of reducing weight, and then after some time we lose interest in reducing weight. So I think it has a lot to do with your sense of self, your identity, and then your belief system around your sense of self.
Gee, thank you, Dr. Iram. Amazing insights. I would like to build further on this topic, and there is a quote जिसमें वो कहते हैं कि you are what you eat. आप जो खाते हैं वही आप बनते हैं. ये quote कितना ज़रूरी है, and I would like to ask Dr. Navid to give some insights on this. Gee, over to you, Dr. Navid.
Assanikum. Thank you so much for inviting me. Actually, this is my first webinar. And Rizwan, I really thank you so much. And actually, I was so busy with these days. I've been doing home care. Rizwan knows it for a year, being an ICU physician. But COVID for last 2 years has broken me. And not in other ways, but you get really fatigued. Middle of the night, you're running around. Well, coming to the topic, I would like to share a little experience. There was a time in my life, that was say around 12 years ago, I gained around 98 kilos. Okay, so I was experience was at that weight, there was a big shy for me to stand in front of the mirror. I was shy with my kids, everybody was saying me fat potato or something like that. And I realized that the thing that actually changed my whole lifestyle was that I was taking a lot of carbs, especially sugars. Like friends are sitting and say, oh, yeah, put some dal chini, 4-5 chamuch, no issues. But that 4-5 is that addition and the sweetness. I have a sweet tooth, ask me not how much I can eat. But at the end of the day, it hit me very hard. And by 98 kilo, when I reached, I realized that I cannot perform, not just physically, but mentally I was down. So the first thing that I cut down was sugar. I think sugar is the basis of your weight gain. We just eat, sweeteners and we say, यार थोड़ा walk कर लेंगे, 10 मिनट चल लेंगे, रात को हजम हो जाएगा. It's never like that. You have to do it everyday basis. You have to control it. Number two is that exercise and diet, as this lovely presentation. I really love it, Rizwan. Thank you so much. You have done a lot of my work. Actually, you have explained everything. So I think exercise and sugar, and diet, they go together. When people don't, they come on protein 100%. They start eating fruit, they start eating vegetables, but they don't have a balanced diet. The balanced diet is the key to your mind, mental, and your physical health. लोग कहते हैं जी आप vegetables ले लें, ये कर लें, लेकिन you don't understand. You see, if you over diet, you lose the collagen, you age fast. You see, your skin goes down. So I think that the diet should be balanced. You should cut down the carbs, and all these things at the end of the day they matter a lot because you're physically fit, yes, and you're mentally very much fit, and your intelligence, goes with your appearance. I strongly believe that. I don't get tired very easily because the only thing that I do very little diet. I try to take, fresh fruit, and I don't take a lot of carbs these days. Over back to you, Rizwan.
Gee, thank you, Dr. Navid sir. Very interesting. Achha, Gary Lehmann is here. He is an international certified master trainer, and his core area is physical fitness. So I would like to ask him that during the presentation, Rizwan, you mentioned it is 80% diet versus 20% exercise. So I would like to know from Gary whether he agrees to that comment or not, because his bread and butter is exercise and physical fitness. Over to you, Gary. Please enlighten us. Gary, are you there? We can't hear you, Gary. We can't hear you, Gary. Dr. Rizwan, would you like to share your thoughts why you have mentioned 80% diet versus 20% exercise?
Sure. I think here we need to see that when we are talking about fitness, so what do we mean by fitness? I mean, generally we go for a blanket statement that for us, fitness means someone who's very slim. But being slim does not mean you are fit. And it does not mean that you're not fit either, right? So it goes on both ways. Then also, when I say 80%, and we are at that time, I'm talking about the weight loss. If the weight loss is the goal, then 80% diet is important. And then the role of exercise will be only 20% in that one, number one. Number two, when we say fitness, and as Dr. Navid rightly mentioned, that when you talk about fitness, there are people who go for yoga and bending and all these and that kind of thing. So that is for stretching only. That gives flexibility to your body, but it may not be, you may not get the strength in your body. If you look at this, there are competition like world's strongest man, and those are not the slim guy or the muscular guy. Those are the fat guys who have very big waist, because that's where the strength is coming in your core, the core of your body. So that's again another type of fitness. So we have to define that what kind of fitness are we talking about. Fitness, do we mean by losing weight and becoming slim? Fitness, do we mean we need to have muscular body like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or fitness means that we can carry weight, or fitness means that we feel better. So these all are different objectives, and we have to go for that one by one. I mean, and it's all of them require different approach. It's not just one approach fits all. So it's again very debatable. And of course, Gary will give an idea from the fitness point of view for the exercise. Now, having said this, last comment on my last comment, I am not denying that exercise is not important. I am saying exercise is important, but exercise is not for the weight loss. Exercise is to make your body fit, and in many aspects, mental, heart, and other aspect, not just the weight loss. That is my point.
Excellent. Kerry, are you there? I would like to hear from you on the physical part. Are you there?
Shehzad, I want to add what Dr.
Please,
Rizwan just mentioned. 80% fitness based on diet, I would link it with your mental intake as well. I mean, what type of thoughts are you, feeding your mind on? Again, this is a social media era, and we are exposed to unregulated content, and this is giving us feeling of lesser being, having less, having unrealistic pursuits. So our mind is basically fed on superficial content. And if I'm on daily basis for 5 hours, 6 hours, I'm exposed to something which is unreal, again, my mind is becoming toxic, or it is becoming, it is going to contribute into negative behaviors. तो हमें उसी 80% में रहते हुए अपनी ज़हनी हालत, अपनी इमोशनल चेक-इन्स, यस, इमोशनल चेक-इन्स में आप देखें कि आपका मूड जनरली कैसा रहता है, आप खुशगवार मूड में कितना टाइम रहते हैं, आप ना खुशगवार कितने टाइम रहते हैं, आपको गुस्सा कितनी जल्दी चढ़ता है, आपकी स्लीप के पैटर्न्स क्या हैं, तो ये सारी चीजें मिल के आपका वो 80% होलिस्टिकली बनाते हैं, जिसके बारे में आई थिंक हमें सबसे पहला स्टेप ये लेना चाहिए कि हमें इसको मेजर करने के लिए कॉन्शियस होना चाहिए, हमें माइंडफुली अपने खाने की आदत, माइंडफुली अपने सोचने के अंदाज को पहले टैप करना चाहिए, और उसके बाद देखना चाहिए कि इन बिहेवियर्स को हम किस तरह से चेंज कर सकते हैं विद सर्टेन स्मॉलर टेंजिबल स्टेप्स।
ग्रेट। तो मुझे ये बताइएगा कि जो मेरी फिजिकल फिटनेस है और जो मेरी इमोशनल वेलबीइंग है, उसका मेरे माइंडफुलनेस से कितना इम्पैक्ट होता है। एंड दूसरा उसी से रिलेटेड एक सवाल है कि जो चीज़ें हम मीडिया में देख रहे होते हैं, जो न्यूज़ है वो नेगेटिव न्यूज़ हर तरफ से आ रही होती है, तो क्या इसकी भी वजह से हमारी हेल्थ पे फर्क पड़ रहा होता है, या फिर वी कैन मैनेज इट? फॉर एग्जांपल, वी कैन हियर एनी बैड न्यूज़, पर ऐसा हो सकता है कि वी आर नॉट बीइंग इम्पैक्टेड बाय ऑल दोस न्यूज़। इस पे आपके व्यूज चाहिए मुझे।
अच्छा, सबसे पहले शहजाद आप ये देखें कि आप अगर अभी डॉक्टर नवीद ने कहा कि आई हैव अ स्वीट टूथ, हम जो खाना खाते हैं, अगर आप खुश होते हैं, जिन स्टेट्स में या जिन दिनों में आप खुश होते हैं, आप देखेंगे आप हमेशा कम खाना खाते हैं और आपको ज्यादा की अर्ज नहीं होती, ठीक है। और जिन दिनों आप डिप्रेस होते हैं, आप ज्यादा खाते भी चले जाते हैं, आपको पता ही नहीं चलता कि आप खा भी रहे हैं कि नहीं खा रहे, बिकॉज आपके इमोशंस को रिबाउंड चाहिए, उस पेन को नम करने के लिए आप अपने दिमाग, अपनी बॉडी को किसी और काम में लगा देते हैं। तो नंबर 1 पॉइंट पे तो ये देखिए कि एक रीजनेबल प्रोपोर्शन के बाद आप खाना क्यों खा रहे हैं, ठीक है। आप जबकि एक सादा खाना भी खा सकते हैं, बट आप बहुत ज्यादा फैंसी खाना या आर्टिफिशियल फ्लेवर से बाहर बना हुआ खाना, इस तरह की तरफ आपका जो ट्रेंड है या आपकी टेंडेंसी उस तरफ क्यों है। तो शहजाद, आप अगर सिर्फ अपना एक दिन का या 3 दिन एक डायरी बना लें कि मैं एक हफ्ते में या एक दिन में क्या चीजें खाता हूँ और वो क्यों खाता हूँ। क्यों खाता से मुराद ये कि मैं, जैसे आप और मैं अभी बातचीत कर रहे हैं, तो हम साथ में कॉफी पकड़े पिए चले जा रहे हैं, हमें पता ही नहीं कि हमने एक पूरा मग ले लिया। अभी जैसे ये सेशन खत्म होगा, आप कहेंगे कि अच्छा मैंने तो कॉफी पी नहीं है, 1 कप और आप ले लेंगे। तो आपने कॉन्शियसली उसको टाइम दें कि ठीक है मैं खाना खा रही हूँ या मैं अपना चाय कॉफी पी रही हूँ, तो मैंने उसको महसूस करना है कि इट इज गोइंग, आपका इंटरनल सिस्टम बता देगा कि काफी हो गया, इनफ। एंड एक और जो हमारी इस्लामिक पर्सपेक्टिव है वो ये है कि यू नीड टू लाइक अपने थोड़ी सी भूख रख के खाएं, हमें पता ही नहीं चलता कि हम कितना खा चुके हैं। तो एक तो आप जो कह रहे हैं कि मुझे मतलब अपनी फिजिक, आपने समझे कि आपने रेगुलर जागते रहना है, अपने सारे खाने पीने के दौरान जागते रहना है, जो कि मुश्किल काम है। यू सी हम एकदम ऑटो पायलट पे चले जाते हैं बिकॉज इट इज नॉट दैट इजी टू रिमेन अवेक फॉर द होल डे, बट यस ट्राई to bring your focus over and over again the moment you feel like I am lost. तो नंबर 1 पे तो ये है। दूसरी बात ये जो आपने की नेगेटिव न्यूज का मेरे ऊपर क्या इफेक्ट होता है, मैं सोशल मीडिया का जिस का इफेक्ट वो बता रही हूँ जो हमारी साइकी को इफेक्ट कर रहा है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मेरी सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी। मैं हो सकता है कि इस वक्त कंपनी की सीईओ हूँ, बट मैं मीडिया में देख रही हूँ कि ग्रुप सीईओ हो जाना और भी बड़ी बात है। तो मैं अपनी इस स्टेट को सेलिब्रेट नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं आगे देख रही हूँ जो कि उस मिशन पे पहुंचूंगी, उस स्टेट पे पहुंचूंगी तो मैं राजी होंगी। तो वी आर ऑलवेज इनटू डूइंग वन आफ्टर द अदर, वी डोंट हैव लाइक दैट स्टेट ऑफ माइंड जिसमें हम सेलिब्रेट कर सकें, शुक्रगुजार हो सकें। तो एक तो ये बात कर रही है। दूसरी, अगर आप नेगेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन कंज्यूम भी कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो जो बंदा साइकोलॉजिकली और इमोशनली स्ट्रॉन्ग बंदा है या इंसान है, वो ये जानता है कि लाइफ इज अ मिक्स बैग ऑफ गुड एंड बैड। तो लाइफ के अंदर कुछ अच्छी चीजें भी हैं, कुछ बुरी चीजें भी हैं, कुछ इनएविटेबल हैं, कुछ चीजें आपके इख्तियार में हैं। तो ये साइकी आपको बताती है कि हाँ ठीक है, मेरी अपनी ग्राउंड ये है। यू डू हैव सर्टेन एम्पैथी फॉर सर्टेन इवेंट्स व्हिच आर हैपनिंग ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, बट आप उनको अपने इंटरनल सिस्टम पर इफेक्ट नहीं होने देते।
Great. Welcome back, Gary. Dr. Iram was highlighting on the consumption of bad news as well as how to stay mindful every time, whatever you eat, what are you doing. So it's being awake every time. I would like to ask you your views on the mental well-being, but a special question to you is on whether you agree with Dr. Rizwan that it is 80% diet versus 20% physical exercise. I would like to hear from you because your specialties are into physical well-being. Over to you, Gary.
Well, first of all, I do apologize about the poor connection before. Hopefully now you can hear me and you can see me clearly, okay? And secondly, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for my my first appearance on the stream. I'm very happy and very proud to be in Pakistan, in Karachi. Answering your question, and just listening to what the comments have been over the discussion, the fact of the 80-20 is more of a generalized, one of those myths or misconceptions that a few little understandings about the human body we need to look at, where when you do strength training, when you exercise and you develop more muscle fiber, your body needs more calories to preserve that muscle in order for you to maintain the size, the shape, the overall health of the muscle. And in turn, you will by default lose more calories or lose more weights because you have more muscle mass. So there's no divide between the 80%, 20%. It should be more as we discussed before, as Dr. Aaron before was discussing about a connection, a synergy between both sides. So we want to understand that the more you eat healthy food, the more that you look after your diet and your nutrition, and the more it'll aid your physical well-being, and vice versa. The more physically healthy and strong you are in your training and exercise and general movement, you're going to be helping your nutritional and your metabolism and metabolic rate as well. So it goes hand in hand. And for me as a coach and as a personal trainer and someone who is active on a daily basis, I could never divide both. I always want to make sure that I have that equilibrium between them. So for me, I would never say it's 80% nutrition, it's 20% exercise. I would say I would recommend the general person, especially here in Pakistan, because nutrition is a hot topic and people's general nutrition seems to be quite poor. I would recommend them to focus on that because that's the priority. And then when that is organized and prepared and is in line with benefits, with health benefits, then we can introduce the exercise part of it as well and combine both. So I'd always say that I understand that 80-20 rule, but I would have it a little bit less. I would consider it more of a 60-40 or a 30 or a 70-30. So that's the way I would look at it.
Okay, great. Just to carry on this topic, for example, if you are training on me, if you are my personal trainer, so I come to you and I tell you my targets, like I want to lose weight and I want to be physically fit and things like that. And you measure my BMI. So my BMI, current BMI is 29, and my cholesterol or fat percentage in my body is also around 30%. So how would you take me both for the physical side as well as for my mental well-being? So what would be your general plan in 2 minutes if you can explain this?
Well, really, really simple. First of all, what every good and professional personal trainer and trainer in general needs to do is get a perspective of your life balance. It's not just about exercise and nutrition or mental health. It's about the entire spectrum of lifestyle. So the first thing when I would meet you, I would sit you down and say, right, tell me about you as a person. Tell me about your sleep habits, your nutrition habits. Tell me about your general lifestyle, from work to activity when you have free time to exercise to family. And then when you have that overall understanding of a person's life, then you can start to say, right, how can we make small improvements to improve, even by 1%? And when those small improvements all fall into a line, then you can say to yourself, right, let's set a goal. Let's start to talk about weight loss as the example is. What is realistic to lose weight? How much time and what is the commitment to do that? And then between myself and yourself as the client, we would set that goal. It has to be plain, it has to be simple, it has to be achievable. And then from there, it's consistency with your training and the small lifestyle amendments that we've created. And then it's just being patient with the timings. Of course, it takes time for you to achieve those goals. So in a nutshell, that's what I would do from a trainer's perspective.
Perfect. So what I learned is that is about the whole lifestyle. It's not just the one physical aspect or mental aspect. And I think all of you are giving these kind of advices that even if you are a physical trainer or if you are a psychologist or if you are managing the patients, all of you are giving the same thing, that we have to look at the holistic approach and you have to assess the person individually, his lifestyle, his commitments, and his goals as well. I would like to ask Dr. Navid, but I think he has dropped just now. I would come back to Dr. Rizwan, and there is a question. There is a detailed question here. Let me read it for all of you. He's asking about diet and exercise to reduce belly fat. What exercise steps required to reduce belly fat? What additional supplement one should start taking after the age of 40 plus? And what are the initial steps by which we can start developing healthy habits? So, who would like to take this question?
Let me
Dr.
perhaps
Rizwan? Yeah.
I would discuss a bit about this. So, yes, Gary, I agree with your points. And when I say that 80-20, that was basically if purely the objective is to reduce the weight. So from that perspective, and again, I agree with you that it's a general rule. Definitely, it varies from person to person, and again, holistic approach. So talking about this diet and exercise to reduce belly fat. Belly fat is perhaps one of the most rigid, one of the most difficult to remove. There are ways to do that, and of course, you have to move. Again, the first step for you, as Gary mentioned as well, that you have to control your diet. In Pakistan, unfortunately, that is not the case. I mean, we eat and we eat a lot, and especially the carbohydrates intake in our diet is so high. Unless you are doing very rigorous exercise, you don't need that many carbs when you are 30 or you are 40 plus. So that is one of the things. And then the other thing is that our sleeping pattern. We in Pakistan generally we do not sleep before 1 a.m. and that is really problematic because your body there's a rhythm in your body. There are time. So, for example, between 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. as your liver is healing, etc. And again, I'm not talking about from the Western perspective. I'm talking from the Eastern perspective. I live in Vietnam, and I have seen here that people generally sleep here around 10 p.m. 6 a.m. everything is open. You can go to market at 5 a.m. to the fresh market, and you can get the things done. If you look at generally people in Vietnam, they are very slim. So again, it really depends. They have very less amount of body fat, but are they 100% healthy? No, not really. I know some of my staff, they are very slim. They don't have much body fat, but they have high cholesterol and they have other issues as well. So, again, the well being does not depend only on the belly fat. The well being does not depend only on diet or only on exercise or other factors. We have to look at holistically. That is the first part. What additional supplement you should take? So again, it depends on the doctor. So generally, doctors will do the examination for you, and they will find out that whether you need vitamin C or vitamin D. Generally, when you are 40 plus, so the absorption of vitamin D in your body goes way down, and of course, because of the calcium deficiency and other factors are there. Of course, Dr. Navid will give better advice on that. So you should talk to the doctor and then find out that what you are deficient in. But keep one thing in your mind, that these are supplements. So supplements are not as good as the food. I always suggest people to go for the food first. And if the food does not cure the deficiency, then you should go for supplement. And the last one is, what are the initial steps by which we can start developing healthy habits? Again, it's in your mind. So I give my example. I think for last 15, 17 years, I am drinking black coffee. I don't drink coffee with sugar or coffee with milk. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, right? Just before this seminar, I mean, I would tell probably it's not a good idea, but I just had a piece of macaron cake, right? And like in French, you say macaron cake. So that one was just because of an event, because the Lunar New Year is coming. So again, the thing is, you go step by step. So one habit at a time, and then you move on to that. I could tell you that since November 27 till today, I did not eat a single piece of bread or roti. So that's almost 2 months I did not eat that. I did not eat rice. I did not eat pasta. Do I crave for that? No, not really. I can go for months or maybe years without eating roti, without eating naan, without eating rice, without eating sugar. So again, you have to train. Unfortunately, and Gary probably would agree with me or disagree, I don't know, that we train our body, but we don't train our mind. And that is perhaps more difficult part to train our mind. Over to you, Shehzad.
Excellent comments, Dr. Rizwan. You have explained it very well. I would like to go back like when I was young. I'm sorry, there is some sound of azan. I can't do much about that. You have to bear with me for that. But I would like to ask you, when I was young, I was trained by my family, by my teachers, by my seniors, that I should eat more because I was very slim at that time. And there was no concept for emotional well-being and mental well-being and things like that. So we were supposed to eat more to be healthy. So there was a concept that if you eat more and you are like this, you are supposed to be healthy. This was the concept being followed when I was young. So I would like to hear from you, like how about the culture impact on your health? The concept, the mindset which you have from your early beginning when you are very young, does that mindset affect your health, your eating habits, and how long it goes? Maybe in your late 40s, you are aware that you were doing this, and this wrong, but the damage has already been done. Over to you, Dr. Iram. I would like to hear from you first, and then I would move on.
Shehzad, you have rightly pointed out the root cause. That's where I was highlighting your self-identity. I mean, how do you formulate your own self-concept? Unfortunately, we are never happy with ourselves. We always want ourselves in some other way, the way we look around ourselves. And a child conceives it from his immediate family members, sometimes from parents, sometimes from peers, sometimes from our extended family members. And unfortunately these days we are having these social media influencers who are basically trying to impact our minds that maybe size 0 is being healthy and being acceptable, being loved. One huge part of human psyche is to be loved. We all want to be loved and become something that people want to get attracted towards. So yes, you are very much right that some this social conditioning actually shape our belief system about ourselves, and then we try to strive for that. I would also mention here that your eating habits and your psychological thought processes are also required attention. So if you are not paying attention to those root cause of certain behaviors, you would never be able to, either change it or modify it. So no matter what size you have, I think if you accept yourself the way you are, things start happening. A lot of people struggle with weight reduction, and when they accept their true self, I would give an example of Oprah Winfrey. You must have seen her new size, because she must be in her 60s. She has struggled all her life to reduce weight, but she could never reduce weight. But now when you look at her, she looks around 40s or in her 40s or something, because finally she could accept herself the way she was. I mean, this complicated. So I would also like to link it with your belly fat. In mindfulness, it is said that your stresses all get together in your belly, and whenever you stress eat, it you tend to you know get you tend to actually feel heavier on your tummy. So it is also an indicator that you need to fix your thinking patterns. Be easy on yourself, be grateful in life, start smiling somewhere in the daytime. Look into these smaller details of your life. How do you use your facial muscle? I mean, 37 muscles you have on your face. I mean, do some cardio on your face and see how it changes your physiology. People in Pakistan, they live for eating. I wonder that. I mean, especially in Lahore, we are foodies and we live for eating. I mean, for whatever reason, they find a reason to eat something. So yes, cultural impacts our eating habits, but again, if you are an awakened person, you can at least spot these areas that it is not required. You don't need to eat that much.
Thank you, Dr. Iram. Dr. Navid, you're back. We were just discussing the impact of the culture, the mindsets over our physical well-being as well as our eating habits. So your views on that, and there is a specific question from audience for you. Let me read it. Can we ask Dr. Navid about his comment regarding sugar consumption and weight gain? Is it possible to gain weight if someone is not having sugar? Because as per my own understanding, total daily calorie intake matters. Dr. Navisa, over to you. You are muted, Dr. Navid. Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Assanikum, yeah. It's a very important question. A lot of people saying that the calorie intake, comes from the sugars. It can come from any part, but the biggest corruptor that has been, it is a research based. We don't do research. Unfortunately, Pakistan has not been a country where they support research. They will support a lot of other things. So, but saying that I don't take sugar and I still gain weight, I really doubt that, because you see, you decrease the carb intake as we have discussed, because they are generally they uh, they are they are automatically stored as into your adipose tissue, and you keep on increasing it. So if you have a high protein diet, all right, but on a portion, I'm not saying that you eat a whole in a big portion. At the end of the day, uh, the carbs are responsible in your weight gain as much, not as much as protein. So yes, a person who is not having a lot of carbs, but his serving is big. He takes a lot of big serving and he eats a lot. He can put on weight. At the end of the day, the food is broken down into pieces. You take protein diet, doesn't mean that, if you eat a white meat or a fresh chicken or whatever, it does not have a fat part into it. It has a fat content. So yes, it can be, but not generally. It's not seen that people on a high protein diet they gain weight a lot. No. Well, individual experience is totally different at the end of the day. But if we are talking about, I do a lot of research. Read research topics into some few research also. So far it is not proven that you don't take sugar then you gain weight. So there's just two different, aspects that you're looking at. It should be seen that how much is your portion, how much your dietary intake is, and what exactly. Say, if a lot of people have started taking that sugar-free barley. I'm just giving an example. At the end of the day, barley, puts on weight, and people think that barley does not increase your weight. They say we are high protein intake, we take grills and the barbecue, and with that you will see a barley on the table. So, it should be, highlighted what exactly you mean by not taking carbs or not taking sugars.
Thank you, Dr. Navid. I would like to ask the same question from Mr. Gary Leeman. Yes, your views.
So my perspective of it is that a calorie is a calorie, whether it's from a lipid or a fat or a protein or a glycogen sugar source or carbohydrate source. And the quantity of the food that you're intaking in your system, depending on your goals, of course, needs to be accounted for. So if you're eliminating sugar, that's one aspect of the nutritional pyramid. We can say, okay, well, that's fine, but what else are you consuming? So you may be eliminating sugar, but is your fat content high? And then what is that fat content, whether it be good fats, whether it be avocados or coconut oil or olive oil, or whether it be bad fats, or whether it be, a high protein diet. So a calorie is a calorie. And if you're consuming a high amount of calories without the activity or with restricted activity, by default, you're going to be gaining more calories than you're consuming. So you want to make sure that you're active as well as you're consuming those calories. So you need to find that balance between both. And restricting sugar will be an amazing way for your mental and physical health. I mean, your systems will work better. You'll have less brain fog. You'll have less hunger cravings. You'll have less mood swings. But specifically for weight gain or weight loss, it's the calorie consumption as a whole, not just as the individual parts.
Okay, so we have more views on that. Anybody else who would like to comment the excess of sugar versus overall more calorie intake, Dr. Rizwan?
Sure. I would just like to, I think Dr. Navid and Gary has explained very well. Just one point here that, as Gary said, that a calorie is a calorie. Exactly. That is the point. And then when we look at the calories, so how much nutrients does sugar have? And the answer is 0. So basically, you are consuming calories in the form of sugar without any nutrients. So your body is not getting any benefit from that except for getting the calories. That is one thing. And to some extent, this is also applicable to rice. To less extent, this is applicable to wheat. In wheat, at least you have fiber, but in sugar, you don't have any of these things. And somehow, I would say that addiction to sugar is akin to addiction to alcohol. And I'm not really sure how many people would like this, but I would say that in Pakistan, we don't have alcohol, but we have even worse form of addiction, and that is sugar. And why is this so? You look at the sweet, the quantity of sweet we have. I mean, I can't think of any other country, of course, definitely India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka maybe. I don't see any country in the Eastern Asia or in Europe or in North America or South America where we have the sweet shops. There are candies, there are chocolates, but I haven't seen the variety of sweets that we have in Pakistan. And I'm not really sure if Gary agrees with that or not, but I think that is the case. And for me, treating the addiction to sugar should be similar to treating the addiction to alcohol in some ways. Of course, it may be a little bit extreme, but it's very similar in terms of that. If you don't believe in that, I suggest that you should try to cut down on sugar, and then you will see that how difficult it is to cut down on sugar.
Thank you. I would like to ask. It might be a stupid question, but let me ask this question: which is more dangerous, alcohol, smoking, or sugar? A question to everybody of you. You can add your comments. Alcohol, sugar, smoking.
I would go for sugar. Trust me.
Okay. So sugar is the most dangerous. So number 1 is sugar. Number 2 is
smoking,
and number 3 is alcohol. Okay. Yes.
If I may go second, I think you can die from all three. So it's the moderation. So if you're a smoker and you drink alcohol and you take a lot of sugar, then you're in trouble. But if you do it in moderation, you can live a respectfully long life. I think everything needs to be done with consideration to the amount that you intake.
So little bit of everything is not that dangerous.
It will have an effect on your body, but will it kill you in the midterm or short term? No, okay. I don't. But however, the ideal situation is you reduce your sugar intakes, you don't drink, and you obviously don't smoke. So that will be my view.
Okay, Dr. Iram.
I'll second Gary.
Okay, Dr. Rizwan.
I would go with both the views of Dr. Navid and Gary at the same time, that yes, moderation is the key. That is one thing, but definitely sugar is number one to cut down in your life. Smoking, and the reason for smoking, I would tell, because sometimes people ask why I say that alcohol is not dangerous. Because alcohol, you have a time to drink, but smoking is something you are smoking all the day, right? So that is something people should do that. And then alcohol is the third thing. But I'm not really sure how many people would like this answer.
Okay. Let me ask another stupid question. That is, a person who is with all the bad habits, like he's drinking, he's smoking, and he's consuming a lot of sugar, and he's taking high calorie intake every day, and he's sedentary, he's not going to exercise anything, but he's still healthy, and he's in his, say, he's 45 years old, he's in his 40s. And there is another example, a person who is in his 30s and who is not into any bad habits. He's not consuming a lot of sugar, he's not taking much of the calorie intake, and he's slim, but he's still unhealthy. Can you explain this scenario, like a person who is in his 45 years of age with a lot of bad habits but is still healthy, and a person who is in his 30s, let's say 35 years of old, and still very unhealthy despite he is not into bad habits? So these are two scenarios. I would like to know from each one of you your comments on this scenario. Yes, starting with Dr. Rizwan.
I think Dr. Navid should start with this one, but just on a lighter note, I would say that on a serious note, I would say that what do you mean by healthy? That is the question we have to ask, right? On a lighter note, I would say that the key to happiness is Sanuki. Gary is a Punjabi, which means that I don't care.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Oh, Rizwan, that was a wonderful answer, Sanuki. Well, most of our Pakistanis, and with the Asian trend, that we say Sanuki. But it's not about the Sanuki thing. See, I have a little bit experience in a couple of, like, I do ICU, critical care, emergencies and all. And I'll give you an example. I'll share you with my life experience. I met a guy early in my career, and this guy was smart as Gary. Actually, I started loving him, actually. And he had a heart attack, which was a fatal heart attack, almost killed him. And he had, so I asked him that, do you smoke? He said, no. I said, do you drink? He said, no. And what's your diet? He said, I take a very healthy diet. And he walks around 40 minutes to an hour every day. And he was a bureaucrat, a 19-grade officer. And still he had a heart attack. So you see, you cannot change the fate. But I could understand at that time because, being a young physician, learning a lot of things. Then one of my professors said that, you see, he is 58 and he got this heart attack. If he would not have taken care of it, he would have died with it a long time ago, maybe in his 30s. He would have been like, he could not have survived this kind of heart attack. So your healthy living changed that. People think, oh, I'm happy go lucky. I can live, die another day. It's not like that. You do something today that will save you tomorrow. And at the end of the day, everybody has to pass on from this world. We know that. But how do you want to pass on? On a dependency, on a very unhealthy terms of medicines on your bedside, or you want to sleep well, happy go lucky. That's it. So I would say that's simple. Life is very simple if you want to spend it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Navid. Mr. Gary Leeman, your views on this two scenarios. On the bad habits, but still healthy, like not having any angina or any heart problem, and still young, like 35 years of age, no bad habits, but still going through some cardiac issues.
Well, first of all, in those exact situations, if physically there is healthy versus unhealthy, then I would look to the psychological, to the mental side of it. And I'm sure Dr. Iram will elaborate on this. But for me, you can be very at peace with yourself and be technically unhealthy physically, overweight. You can be not exercising. You can live a very, poor diet and lifestyle, but still be at one with yourself and satisfied with your current situation in life. And that will have less stress emotionally and physically on your body versus someone who is potentially, if he's younger, let's say hypothetically, he's chasing a career or he's chasing a life and he's got stress from his young family or stress from his parents or stress from society or just pressure from himself. And that could lead to an unhealthy physical being as well as psychological and mental. So I'll leave it there and I'll let Dr. Iram elaborate on that.
Yes,
thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. I think you have already pointed out the difference, and I was highlighting the same difference in the beginning also, that sometimes you take approach of body to feed your mind, but I see it emotional and psychological landscape is very powerful. Your body has all the pharmacy within yourself. I mean, you are apparently having everything going well with you, and somehow suddenly one fine day you wake up with certain terminal disease or chronic disease, and you get surprised that from where did this happen. So I would say that a long lasting, and research back it up as well, that if you are having resentment, which is long standing resentment, either you are displaced or you are out of place and you are emotionally neglected, your emotional needs are not met, and you are somehow isolated, alone, then you start building resentment within yourself, which sometimes result in cancers. And then you obviously get into that state of unhealthiness despite your young age or early age. And some people, like those who have the self-acceptance and they have those relationships which are like Dr. Rizwan showed in the chart, in the super most important area of social integration. Some people are socially so motivated that they do service to the humanity and they feel charged up, and it does not bother them that what size they have become. They are in total alignment of their complete self. So yes, I would see these two cases in psychological aspect. In fact, every one of us is having certain psychological dimension. I mean, human beings are multidimensional. So psyche is the one, or the consciousness, or basically the highest self is your consciousness. So if you are aware of your spiritual side, then as I said earlier, that sometimes your smaller goals of reducing weight seems very easy and simple because you have self control and you do it for some higher purpose. that you want to strive more. If you eat more, obviously you feel drowsy, you cannot do a lot of work. You know, if you eat 2 parathas and 2 big glasses of lassi, how would you expect to, you know, run your day? And this is pretty much obvious. And I think if you are motivated like Dr. Navid, who is mashallah doing wonderful job, who is taking care of people, he would see that in normal days you eat very less and you still feel charged up.
Yes, Dr. Iram,
Excellent.
I would just add on. Yes, exactly. He's so right about it. See, I'm just giving you a little example. At times of the day, I just don't eat. I eat just one small portion when I reach home. I would have and I would simply take a fruit with me. But at times I don't drink water because I'm running around with a patient in different parts of the city. So a small meal, yes, and I feel more energetic. My kids ask me how you do it. You don't eat from morning till end. You just take light breakfast, and then you come back home at times, and it's already midnight or across the midnight. So yes, I exactly agree with them that it's not the lower portion you have more energy to carry on. You see, the starvation itself, it is very healthy for the brain. And when Dr. Iram, you talked about the parathas and the lassi, trust me, the sound of that made me dizzy for a minute. Back to you, Shehzad.
एग्जैक्टली एंड आप देखें कि हमारी जो मैंने कहा हायर ऑर्डर सेल्फ है, जो कॉन्शियसनेस है या स्पिरिट है, उसको अगर आप फीड करेंगे ना, तो आपको बॉडी को फीड करने की जरूरत नहीं है. हम जितनी निटी ग्रिटी फॉर्म की जरूरत में, आप बेसिकली एक मीनिंगफुल काम करें जो आपकी स्पिरिट को लिफ्ट करता है. और जो स्पिरिट को लिफ्ट करते हैं वो तो एक खजूर के ऊपर जो है वो डिनर उसको मानते हैं, जी एक खजूर खा ली तो डिनर हो गया. बट अब हमारे यहाँ तो कहते हैं कि पिज्जा खा लिया है, अब रोटी ले आए.
So Gary, what Iram is saying is that after eating pizza in Pakistan, we say, okay, what is for the dinner?
Trust me, there's many societies and nations worldwide who think exactly the same. My country being one of them. Don't worry.
Okay, there is a question on LinkedIn. I found eating out and no exercise and high sugar intake is affecting mental health. Definitely, it affects physical health as well of office-going people. What is your take on this? So, anybody who would like to answer, especially he's asking on the mental health. But I would like to add on this that once your mental health is affected, now it is a vicious cycle. So it also affects your health negatively. So your sugar intake, if it is affecting your mental health or physical health, now your mental health is also affecting your physical health again. So this is a vicious circle. So I would like to have Dr. Iram's and Dr. Navid's comments on this.
So I'll go first. मेरे ख्याल में होममेड फूड अगर आप खाना शुरू कर दें और मुनासिब मिकदार में खाएं तो आप कुछ भी खा सकते हैं. ठीक है, अब हमारी लाइफ हो गई है सारी कुछ मनी मेकिंग मशीन्स हैं हम बेसिकली, और हम पैसे के पीछे भाग के अपनी हेल्थ को गवा रहे हैं. ठीक है, और जैसे मुझे लगता है कि हम सारे एक सोए हुए महल में हैं. बचपन में हम एक स्टोरी पढ़ते थे, सोया हुआ महल. तो हम सारे बेसिकली सोए हुए हैं, और जब हमें कोई गॉड फॉरबिड तकलीफ बनती है डिजीज की शक्ल में, ब्रीवमेंट की शक्ल में, हम थोड़ी देर के लिए झटका लगता है, जागते हैं और 3-4 दिन के बाद फिर सो जाते हैं. तो आपने अगर अपने आप को ये जो आपने कहा कि हम बाहर से खाना खा रहे हैं, अब बाहर से खाना क्यों खा रहे हैं, पहला सवाल तो ये है. ठीक है, पहले ज़मानों में, जब इवन मेरे ज़माने में भी जब हम छोटे थे, तो ओकेजनली ईद के ऊपर शामी बर्गर हमें अफोर्ड करते थे. मतलब अफोर्ड से मुराद हम खा सकते थे. बाकी हम रोज़मर्रा में वही घर का खाना खाते थे सादा. अभी हम हर रोज़ बाहर से खाते हैं, फिर भी कहते हैं देयर इज़ नो फन इन लाइफ एंड वी आर एम्प्टी शैलो इनसाइड. तो पहला तो आप ये देखें कि आप दिन में प्रोडक्टिविटी जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि मेरा आज का दिन प्रोडक्टिव रहा, वो पैसे के हिसाब से तो प्रोडक्टिव रहा, लेकिन अगर आपने तीनों टाइम का खाना बाहर से खाया है तो ये प्रोडक्टिव नहीं रहा. आपने अपने आप को डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं. स्लोली ग्रेजुअली आप फाइनली किसी कोलैप्स कर जाएंगे. सो इसलिए नंबर 1 तो आपको बाहर से खाना, जिस तरह डॉक्टर रिजवान ने स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड शुगर को पॉइजन कहा है, मैं भी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड कह रही हूँ कि कोशिश करें हर हाल में कि आप घर का बना हुआ सादा, चाहे ऑमलेट बना के खाएं, ब्रेड बना के, ब्राउन ब्रेड बना के खाएं, बट बाहर से ना खाएं. सेकेंडली, अगर आपको मेंटल हेल्थ इस पे क्या लग रही है, आप देखें मैंने उसको लिंक किया आपकी ओरिएंटेशन के साथ। हमारी स्पाउसेस भी काम कर रहे हैं, हम भी काम कर रहे हैं, बच्चे हमारे डे केयर सेंटर्स में हैं, खाना हम बाहर से खाते हैं। बताइए व्हाट इज द क्वालिटी ऑफ आवर लाइफ? हमारी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ क्या है? हम जो पैसे कमा रहे हैं वो हम सारे दे रहे हैं, हमारी जो वो चेन बनी हुई है उसमें हम किस चीज को कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं? वी आर लूजिंग आवरसेल्व्स। तो यू नीड टू रीएवैल्यूएट योर लाइफस्टाइल, दैट आप क्या कर रहे हैं और किधर जा रहे हैं। although it can be very shocking, because हम लोग इस सारे पेंडोरा बॉक्स को खोलना ही नहीं चाहते, इसलिए हम रहते हैं वो एक स्टेट ऑफ डिनाइल में रहते हैं कि ठीक है सब ऐसे ही खा रहे हैं तो हमें भी ऐसे ही खाना चाहिए। तो अपने उस कल्चर में से निकल के जागें और जाग के देखें कि मैं कहाँ इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ। और बेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट आपकी हेल्थ के ऊपर है। अगर आपकी हेल्थ आपका एसेट है, अगर आप हेल्दी नहीं है तो फिर आप जितने मर्जी पैसे बना रहे हैं, इवेंचुअली यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गेट बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट मनी।
Excellent.
Very true. Dr. Iram said excellent. Actually, she has covered most of the parts, and I think she has said it all. असल में the problem with the थोड़ा सा topic से हटके, the problem with our country right now, maybe it's a global issue now, that eating out has not become a leisure, but it has become a routine. All right, आप बाहर इसलिए खाते, number one, you think that food is more healthy than the homemade food. But आपको पाकिस्तान का एक बहुत ही बुरा डाटा ये बताऊं, जो सारे यूरोप से, अमेरिका से, इधर उधर से जो डंप किया हुआ ऑयल होता है, लोकल ऑयल कंपनी से बाय दैट ऑयल एंड दे सेल इट। और हमारे पास देखिए रेस्टोरेंट जो हैं जो कि अनऑथराइज्ड हैं, जो कि आप बोल रहे हैं कि दे हैव नो बैलेंस, चेक एंड बैलेंस, सबसे ज्यादा गरीब लोग खाते हैं, लाइक मिडिल एंड लो मिडिल क्लास गोज एंड ईट देयर। हाउ मेनी पीपल गो टू like a top notch Pan-Asian kitchen restaurant or नहीं। लेकिन एक पॉपुलेशन हिट जो है हमारे पास जनरल है, वो ये कि हमारे पास अनहेल्दी पीछे से सप्लाई आ रही है, एंड नोबडी टॉक्स अबाउट इट, समहाउ इट कम्स इन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे। एक जो बुरा नोशन है जो हमारे कल्चर में आ गया कि हमें बाहर खाना है, वो इसलिए कि ए यू डोंट वांट टू ईट एट होम, बी यस यू हैव स्टार्टेड अर्निंग मोर, भले आपकी हुकूमत कितनी भी गरीब है, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे एक पाकिस्तानी ज्यादा खा लेता है। आई हैव एन एक्सपीरियंस वर्किंग अब्रॉड and I'm telling you, trust me, I was in Middle East for 6-7 years, और मुझे वो यही कहते थे कि यार an Indian guy comes, he's very humble, an average Pakistani comes very arrogant, like he's not like arrogant in a way, but the way he walks, that he owns this whole world. What is that? So basically it's a difference of the culture, our culture. We keep on we have actually changed it, we have acquired it, हमें बाहर खाना है, family values कम हो गई, we don't spend time much sitting at home. So something needs to be focused on. We have to great deal change our habits. Or the other thing I would really say that any time of your life, whether you are 20 or whether you are at the age of 60, you can change your habits. If it's not yesterday or in your past, but it can be today. And other thing is tomorrow. ये सोचेंगे जी मैं कल करूंगा, परसों करूंगा, you forget about the past. कुछ करेंगे तो that will help you in coming days. So yes, food, sugars, they all go together, and psychologically I think Dr. Iram has actually highlighted and pointed out so many important factors. So I think I'll give it to Shehzad. It's up to you again. Please take the show.
Excellent comments, and I'm enjoying this discussion क्योंकि यहाँ पे everyone is not just speaking about one aspect, but we are discussing physical, mental, emotional, every kind of well-being. And now we have only 15 minutes left. I would like to learn from our guests, our audiences, if they like the show, if they want more of these kind of shows. So let us know in the comments, as well as there is some email address on the screen as well. So I would like to move forward on the future. So we have already discussed a lot things now and the things which are affecting the health. So say 2022 has just started. So if I'm setting my goals for my emotional well-being, my mental well-being, my social well-being, as well as my physical well-being. So I would like to learn from each one of you. And since these are based on the individuals you are guiding on. So you can take my example. I am in my 40s. My BMI is 29. I am almost 82 kg right now, and my lifestyle is sedentary. I am a smoker. I don't drink alcohol. Uh, I do some kind of light exercises in a while, like walking, simple walking. And I would like to learn from you on my physical well-being, on my mental, on my emotional well-being, if I'm going to set the goals for this year and onwards. And I would like to know the priority, because I cannot focus on the 40 things. So I would like to learn one thing from each one of you, so I can religiously follow those 4 guidelines for throughout the year. So yes, Gary, I would like to start from you, from the physical perspective as well as other perspective.
So strictly from a physical perspective, from an exercise and movement perspective, the one simple piece of advice I would give you and everybody else who's listening and watching and taking part is, on a daily basis, as we've touched before, move. Okay, our bodies are designed to move, and in Pakistan, especially in Karachi, where I am, we live a very industrial, work-driven, professional-driven lifestyle, which requires up to 12, 15 hours a day of office, home, and transport movement. But there's nothing physically. So if you can have a structured day where you have half an hour, minimum 30 minutes, to get up and actually move, whether it be in the morning before work, or whether it be after you finish off your duties, or playing with your kids at home, structure it and make it a set part of your regiment. Make it an important as setting up your dinner, or setting up and preparing for your office. So keeping it really simple. Whatever way you can do that, whatever length of time you can do that for, just try to move more often. That will burn calories. That will help you develop an active, more stronger mindset, and will give you more positivity.
Excellent advice. Move. G, Dr. Rizwan.
I think very good advice from Gary, and I would add in this one, as I mentioned earlier, that if you do not find the place to move, then you can actually use stairs instead of elevators. So let's say if your office is on 4th floor, so when you are going down, every time you use stairs, if you cannot go up. So that would be the physical movement. That is one thing. In terms of diet, I would recommend that you should go for a more colorful diet. And more colorful means, for example, green capsicum, red capsicum, olives, and you put them in egg, for example, in omelette, and you get the colorful thing. So that becomes, that looks better, so you will feel better about that. Try to break your habits, and old habits die hard. So I understand that, but you can try. One, maybe if you drink tea with sugar and milk, then you should try the black coffee. And trust me, black coffee will make you awake as much as the sugar, and it gives you energy as well, brain energy I'm referring to. So that is one thing. When you have dinner, try to have it before 7 p.m. religiously. Punish yourself. If you don't eat before 7, you are not allowed to eat. And then, trust me, you will find a much better, your life would improve significantly on that. Try to have breakfast. That is also important. Then in terms of mental capability, sorry, Gary, I would go to Urdu and then I would explain this one. एक आपने सुना होगा कि जब नेगेटिव न्यूज़, देयर आर सो मेनी नेगेटिव न्यूज़, सो एक आपने वाकया सुना होगा, वासिफ साहब के पास एक साहब आए, उन्होंने कहा मुल्क के हालात बहुत ख़राब हैं, क्या किया जाए? उन्होंने कहा तूने ख़राब किए हैं? क्या नहीं? तो तू सही कर सकता है? नहीं। तो कहा फिर बैठ ते चाय पी, right? So I think it is very important that the key to happiness is sanuki. So I think that is the important thing. There are things that are under your control. Try to fix them one by one. You cannot fix everything at the same time. There are things that are beyond your control, but they affect you. Try to see that how can you minimize the damage. And there are things you cannot do anything about. For example, death and other things. So that's where you don't have to worry about that. So the worry is something that kills you. It's not the actual problem. So that is from the mental point of view. That is at least what I practice. So should I do something more? Yes, I should. But then again, that how does it fit in my schedule? That is thing. One more thing, when I was a kid, my grandmom used to say, "Oh, if you sleep lot, you get fat." And then I just realized maybe 10 years ago that's just other way around. If you sleep more, actually you lose weight and your body has time to recuperate with all the damages you have. So 8 hours is minimum. 6 to 7 hours may work. And trust me, sleep is not like a deposit in a bank account. If you don't get a good sleep, you can never get that. You cannot compensate for a good sleep. So these are some of the points that one should consider to have an overall well-being.
So if I want to focus on one of these areas, you have said use stairs, colorful diet, less sugar, dinner before 7 p.m., have breakfast, and minimum 8 hours of sleep. So if I want to focus on one thing, what would be that?
Go for
There are two.
stairs. Go for
Go for
stairs.
it. Okay. Yes, Dr. Iram, we have comments. Move, use stairs, and colorful diet. Colorful diet, he means use of vegetables and fruits. Dinner before
Okay.
7, less sugar, have breakfast, and things like that. Yes.
Okay, you have a complete list, right? So I would just make it simple. Track your pattern, right? Track your emotional and psychological patterns. And how would you do it? You would reflect on. I mean, last time when did you have migraine? Last time when did you get sick and why? And what did you eat that did not sit in well within your body, because internal GPS system tells you कि ये खाना मुझे सूट नहीं कर रहा और ये खाना मेरी बॉडी ने एक्सेप्ट किया है. जो जागा हुआ इंसान होता है उसे पता चलता है कि अंदर के हालात क्या हैं. तो अपने अंदर के मैकेनिज्म, अपनी फिजियोलॉजी के साथ कनेक्ट रहने के लिए थोड़ी देर के लिए आपको या डेली या वीकली सोशल मीडिया, बाहर की दुनिया से डिस्कनेक्ट रखें. आंख बंद करके अपने अंदर के हालात का जायजा लीजिए और उससे आपको पता चलेगा कि आपके जो पैटर्न्स हैं, जो आपने आदतें बना ली हुई हैं अपने डिफरेंट नेगेटिव इमोशंस की एनर्जी को स्टोर करने की, उसको आप कैसे बेहतर कर सकते हैं.
Perfect. So to summarize, it's about tracking your pattern, listening to your gut feeling, that is listening to your body, and staying awake and staying mindful. Excellent. So these are especially helpful for the emotional and mental well-being, right? Yes, Dr. Navid, summarize it.
Well, I have a very simple summary of life. Eat less, use your legs so you can sleep well.
Okay. So
That
the
means that
main
you eat
advice.
less and you start walking. And definitely when you get tired, you see, हमारे पास problem ये है कि now we are so dependent, especially the Karachi's transportation system is so bad that आपके पास एक green line भी हो गई, आपके have a railway network, a ring road है, and then you have वही जो हम बचपन में 50-50 में we used to see in that. We had Gary, we had a comedy show called 50-50, like when I was a little child, all right, and everybody loved it. And in that there was a lady, she's saying, the reason for my beauty, or the secret of my beauty is this, the bus with a lot of smoke, all right. And after 70 years, we have the same Due Wali bus. So हमारे पास तो people have stopped using. People don't use feet. We don't have the system where you can walk 3 kilometers. Like you go UK, America, all these countries, you have paths where you walk for hours. Like you can walk from High Street Kensington up to Chelsea without any problem. This is what I used to do. All right. Here you cannot walk from one point to another one. You get tired. You will have a twisted ankle, or maybe somebody will mug you at the end of the day. But what is more important is that you start eating less. Walk as much as possible. And see, I work in a hospital, all right, and people don't use stairs. The concept of our nation is you gave them an IFC. That thing is on the first floor, and I'll give you, maybe a little price, but this is an elevator. What will you take? Trust me, he will not take the stairs. He will take the elevator. because at the end of the day, we don't have that simple concept of little exercise. And exercise should be a daily routine. You have to walk, you have to burn calories. And at the end of the day, you see, Gary, you won't believe it that, there's a very simple exercise because after the COVID, मैं थोड़ा सा टॉपिक से हट के बात कर रहा हूँ कि जब आप बीमार होते हैं, there was a big study in UK and Europe back like 7-8 years ago. उन्होंने ये कहा था कि why they want to push patients out of the bed very quickly, and they realized that if you keep a patient in the ICU one day, so उसकी recovery, that the one day in the ICU bed with the recovery will be at least 5 to 7 days, almost a week. The reason is you lose your body tone, you lose the major part of your muscle. And I give every patient of mine a very simple exercise, sitting on the chair, just do sit-ups. One for oxygen consumption in COVID is less. So it gives you a very good hamstring, it gives you low back exercise, just small reps. But generally, we have to build in, we have to change the concept of our nation that, start walking. A little exercise. It's not that I am a fan of a big exercise. I love Arnold. He's my, dream man. I used to dream myself being Arnold, my head over his body. All right. So, but that's not possible anymore. I'm gray now. So, but the thing is that, what I learned, not even 20 minutes, a 5 minutes little walk, and you build it up slowly, can change the things in your life and the diet. So many things can be done. And, this it's a wonderful, platform to discuss so many things. We have like beautiful people around us. They have shared a lot of experiences. But what I'm saying that at the end of the day, if I don't take care of myself, how will I take care of my family and my friends and my country? Thank you.
True. जब आप अपने आप का ख्याल नहीं रखेंगे तो दूसरों का ख्याल कैसे रखेंगे? जस्ट लाइक कि वो फ्लाइट में अनाउंसमेंट होती है, wear your mask first before taking care of your neighbor. जी, एक सवाल है मेरा. There are 4 brain chemicals which relate to our happiness and positivity, which are dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So, which chemical is the most important for our well-being, physical, mental, emotional? Which is the most important chemical? Is it dopamine? Is it oxytocin? Is it endorphin? Or is it serotonin? And what should I do to improve on that chemical? Gee, anybody can answer on this. I think the 3 of you are doctors, so you know all these chemicals and you can explain better. Gary, you would like to add anything on these chemicals? I believe you are also aware of these chemicals.
Of course, yes, and it has been scientifically proven that when you exercise positively, when you work out or you achieve playing sports, your level of happy chemicals in your body, serotonin and happiness, the dopamine, they increase. So it's very relative in the fitness industry, and it's very relative in exercise in general. People who miss a workout, who regular workout, they get angry and they get sad because they haven't got that rush of chemical in their system. So subconsciously, it is very active in terms of the physical, the training, exercise environment. So I completely understand. So please.
So if I move physically more, so which chemical I would be relying more upon? Or is it, or does it contribute to everything? Like movement contributes to all chemicals. Is it so?
Well, from what I believe, the serotonin is happiness, if I'm not mistaken, and is it dopamine, which is happiness? I forget which.
Yes,
Serotonin.
dopamine one.
Dopamine is instant satisfaction, instant pleasure, and dopamine is happiness. So I would say happiness is the chemical that you want the most. Serotonin is the same kick you get off taking drugs, taking sugar. The dopamine is where you want to be, that consistent happy person. So definitely we want to make sure that we're looking at the dopamine versus the serotonin. If I had the option or the understanding of dopamine would be more of a lifestyle base, and your serotonin would be the quick adrenaline kick, like winning a game or achieving a goal. So that's the way I would understand it.
Okay.
Well, Gary, exactly. I think I agree with you. Yes, but you see, at the end of the day, these four chemicals, which are the major chemicals, all right, and they are responsible for your, the oxytocin or does a great part in your brain, but dopamine comes first. Yes, serotonin comes second. But this body has been created not on the basis of one chemical or just one ingredient. It has a perfect blend of millions of mixtures, and they keep on changing with your mood and with your exercise, the way you eat, the way you walk around, the way you sleep. So a balance. I would say that if we don't talk, like we come out of the chemical world, come to the physical world, and you see you have to tell a layman that what you have to do. अगर मैं अपने ड्राइवर को बोलूंगा तुम्हारा डोपामिन मुझे बढ़ाना है यार, तुम मुझे बहुत लेजी लग रहे हो, ठीक है, तो बोलेगा सर ये मुझे नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है ना. So but I'll tell him यार तुम वॉक करो, तुम थोड़ा हेल्दी रहोगे. So Gary, I was saying that if I tell my driver is not like very well educated, but if I tell him that your dopamine seems low, so he will be somebody goofed off. What's the dopamine? So the thing is that yes, this is a scientific way of explaining things, but on ground reality, हमें लोगों को encourage करना पड़ेगा कि आप अपने आप को healthy रखें, अच्छा रखें, और eat well and eat less, for God's sake. Don't eat like, because at many times people eat more, especially the dinner. The sedentary lifestyle could be that I'll be out of home working 20, like a longer day of my life, and at the end of the day, I think everybody's sleeping in my home. And I walk in, I said, yeah, everybody's sleeping. I needed to talk to somebody, and I'm so alone, and blah blah blah. What to do? और मैंने क्या किया, वो इस एक छोटे portion को बहुत बड़ा कर दिया. I know that इसके खाने के बाद तो I will not be alive for next 24 hours. So I definitely, your gastric, when it goes, circulation goes to the more to the gastric region, so you feel a bit tipsy, and you go sleepy. So lifestyle comes first. Lifestyle comes first. You have to alter it for a healthy life.
Thank you, Dr. Navid. Ji, Dr. Iram.
I would like to highlight oxytocin, which is based on human connection and human touch. So just the way we have our bodily needs, we have our emotional needs to be seen, to be heard, to be loved. So when a child hugs his mother, there are like oxytocin hormones or happy hormones are released. So it's not only limited to children, even human beings need each other's physical touch. So there was a study where couples had like at least 7 times they, or maybe a child, emotional nurturing and raising require at least 7 hugs in a day. So if you hold your partner's hand and if you show them that security or sense of belonging, I think that can be a great way of feeling holistically healthy and happy, and it will maintain your levels of well-being. So I would stress on uh, see each other. I mean, people around you are dying of neglect, and you are busy being friends with Facebook friends and Twitter and all that. So जो लोग आपके बहन भाई इधर बिल्कुल पास आपके रहते हैं, उनको भी खुदारा देखें, उनको भी सुने एटलीस्ट सुने. देखने से मुराद ये नहीं है कि आप देखते नहीं, आप देखते तो हैं, बट उन्हें सुनने का बोलने का उन्हें मौका दीजिए. And this will also add to your well-being.
Great. So social distancing is not so good. Dr. Rizwan.
I would say that definitely all four chemicals are important. There should be a balance for that. But again, it really depends on what you're looking at. So perhaps serotonin is something that balances your mood, and then everything is balanced. So again, I mean, there is no one single chemical that can make your life easier. I would say that we need to look at all these things. There is a scientific study, and it says that if you hug someone for 20 seconds, you can create a relationship of trust between these two people. So you can try that. Participants who are listening to us, I would suggest you should send a message to your wife or husband and say, I love you, and see that how do they respond, and you would be surprised to hear that. So that is something that we don't do that. We forget how to live we forget what is the meaning of importance of getting in touch with each other. So sometimes just call to someone just for nothing. So I think it's really important to be fit in your mind so you can be fit in your body.
Excellent. I think there is a good takeaway for all of our audiences. So we have discussed all the aspects of health, whether it is physical, whether it is mental, emotional, social, and we have excellent contributions today. I have learned a lot from all of you, Dr. Iram, Dr. Navid, Gary, Dr. Rizwan. And there are some few takeaways for 2022, and let me repeat what all our panelists have suggested. The first thing is move, 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 move. Using stairs is also moving. So, and you also get some good chemicals by moving around. So, the first thing and the best advice, if there is one takeaway, if I have to take forward from this webinar, and I have to follow one advice, it would be move, 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 move. So, if I increase my movement, if whether it in the form of exercise or anything, it will definitely help me. So, I can say that every step counts. Apart from that, we have heard about the colorful diet. Colorful diet means there is no such one thing in your meal. And as Dr. Rizwan has suggested, that add vegetables and fruits in your diet, so it make it colorful. So if you are having, for example, an egg in your breakfast, add some vegetables into your egg, so it makes it more colorful. Less sugar. We all know that sugar is dangerous, and sugar is just calories without any nutrients. And there are some more advices like having dinner before 7 p.m. every day, and having a regular breakfast, having a routine. And there is a lot of talk on the lifestyle. So it's all about lifestyle and small habitual changes that develops your health. And similarly, you can also affect your health negatively by building some negative habits like smoking, sleeping, for example, not sleeping properly or sleeping late. I was going to say, and there are some other things like we should take our pattern. We should listen to our guts, our body, and we should be stay mindful to whatever we do, especially whatever we eat. So these are the few takeaways. I am thankful to all of our panelists today. If you want to add 1 minute, last
Yeah,
minute, please add on. And there is so much thank you from the CFO Club as well. See, over to you.
sure. Let me just add one comment. I believe that CFO Club has some kind of agreement, MOU with TriFit, so our members get some benefit for that. So if CFO Club members they want to be physically fit, then TriFit is the place for you. And just taking advantage of that, I would somehow ask Dr. Navid if he can give some similar benefit to the members of CFO Club.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rizwan. I actually am working at, I've started my own practice, and it's my personal clinic at Expert Healthcare. And for anybody, all the CFO members, on the consultation, on the and because basically my clinic is two places. I have a physician side and I have a dental side. So anybody who comes to expert care with appointment, definitely they get a 30% of discount for all the CFO members.
Thank you very
Excellent,
much.
Dr. Saab, excellent. Gee, any other
And
last?
for a health point, I just would like,
Gee.
just last thing I would just say for a healthy benefit, Shehzad, this is for Rizwan, Shehzad, Gary, and Dr. Saiba, and for anybody who's listening. हमारे पास एक बड़ा misconcept है being healthy. What I'll tell you is a game changer in your life. Increase.
I think we lost Dr. Navid.
Hello. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can you
So
please,
what
could you please repeat
that?
that?
We See, I will say that हमारे पास medical industry में या health we miss the based on one single vitamin which supports all the organs, all the hormones. And vitamin D has proven to decrease the depression, weight control, so please increase your vitamin D levels, whatever the source you are taking, and range it to 100. Maintain it around 100 or 90 to 100. This will change. This is the game changer of your life. Then you definitely, it's going to help serotonin and the dopamine and the oxytocin, everything. It is connected. And number two is that take antioxidants. And the antioxidant means take the seasonal fruit, don't take the frozen fruit or the vegetables. Because once they are frozen, gone, their properties are dead. You're just taking a flavor like a candy in your mouth, but there are no nutrients into it. So from today, I would say two things: increase your vitamin D levels. Not don't your size. They said we increase the calcium. Calcium uptake is basically vitamin D binds the calcium. If you don't have vitamin D in your system, what's the calcium alone is going to do? So I will just finish it on this two things for today.
Thank you, Dr. Navid Saab. Any other comment from anyone? Gary, Dr. Iram? We are just closing.
Yeah, I would just like to thank you for inviting me. It's been a very pleasurable experience, and I hope to do this regularly again. It'll be a privilege too. And just to comment on what Dr. Rizwan was mentioning, that TriFit is in the first quarter or into the half of this year. We'll be opening a series of health clubs around Pakistan initially, in Karachi, but eventually around the whole country. So all the CFO club members, as Dr. Rizwan was talking about, will find a benefit with the membership and with the facilities here in TriFit. And we're very excited about opening the clubs and establishing a trend and a healthier lifestyle here in Pakistan. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Iram, do you like to add something?
Okay, I would just add simple this line that be happy, try to reconcile with your life. There is no such thing as perfection. Be happy for whatever you have got and be grateful.
So the facial exercise is as important as cardio exercise. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. That's the end of the presentation today. Audience, please let us know if you like the webinar. I love this webinar because I have learned so many things from our experts today. So this is Shehzad Dhedhi signing off from CFO Club. See you soon in one of the more webinar series from CFO Club. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Have a nice day, guys.
Hafiz, thank you.